Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. This is Sylvia Davis, and I'm very happy to be here today and introduce you guys to a very good webinar that we are going to have today with Assure TotalView. So next slide, please. Yeah, so just so you guys know, Micro Focus, former Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Software, has been working with Assure for more than 8 years. And Assure is a very strong company that has been helping our customers to extract insightful analytics from their dev and QA processes and provide very good data insights for you guys to provide the best of information and predictability in terms of data for your projects, for your development and QA projects. Today, next slide, please. And just a little bit more about me. I have talked to you many times, guys. You probably even remember me. My name is Suga Davis. I work here as a product marketing manager, and I own the portfolio for lifecycle and portfolio management focused on DevOps and enterprise agile. That includes, of course, ALM and ALM Octane and Quality Center. I'm sure that you guys are very good users of these solutions, and thank you again. Next slide. And today we have 3 great presenters with us. Mustali Barma, he is the portfolio manager for Micro Focus, especially for the SaaS solutions. And then he's going to be talking about a new capability and feature that you're bringing to you in the SaaS environment, where you can have data available from your production environment and do some real-time reporting. So this is very good news for you guys to enhance how you provide and I would say strategize your QA environment. Also with us, we have Michael Eckhoff. Michael has been working with us, worked with us before, even here in Hewlett-Packard. He is former Mercury, and he also came with the acquisition, right, from Mercury to HP. He led the whole application specialist teams for the whole Americas. He has a lot of deep knowledge in your solutions as well. And he worked particularly with me as well in your team in the product marketing. And then he basically started to help and advising other companies as well. Now he's working as executive advisor for Assure. We also have Thomas Lipilampi, and he's the product manager for Assure. He has a very strong knowledge in this solution that we're going to be talking about, and also the challenge in how you resolve. And he is also working for Assure for around 11 years. So next slide, please. And then basically this is just a housekeeping, guys. This is a live session we are recording, and we are going to make this available for you right after we finish the webinar. At the end, we plan to have a session for Q&A, so please use the question pane to put all questions that you might have for us. You're going to be helped to take a look and see what you can answer a matter of time. But we are here to provide you some very good news in terms of how to provide very good data insights for you to do some predictability in your Quality Center ALM process and projects. So the first speaker is Mike Eckhoff, and Mike, please take it away. Oh, actually, one more.
Thanks.
Yeah, just one more topic here. I forgot about control panel. Remember, guys, the questions is here in the question panel. Just type your question if you need to during the presentation. But yeah, go ahead, Michael, take it away.
Great, thank you so much, Sylvia, and appreciate you hosting this today. Yeah, as Sylvia said, Assure has been around for about 12 years now, and Assure is really focused on helping customers get the value out of the tools that you have in your environment. Our heritage is deep and rich with Mercury, HP, and now Micro Focus with ALM, but we do have the ability to reach across all of the tools that you're using in your DevOps lifecycle. So development tools, other tools outside of that market, but our core focus has been ALM, and it's a great solution. And it's something that over the years that I was with HP and Mercury, I spoke with hundreds of customers, and I heard on a regular basis, we need more reporting, we need more analytics and insight into what's happening. And that's really what Assure is all about. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of things. And this is really designed to be an educational session for you. So I'm going to give a brief introduction, and we'll talk about kind of what a data-driven culture means. And we'll talk about what are the steps to getting to that data-driven culture. And Tomas has experience with dozens of customers working through the details and the work that it takes to really achieve the success that we've seen so many customers achieve. And then we'll kind of wrap that all up. We'll give you a quick demo of TotalView, but this is really designed to be informational and something for you to take away and go back in your own organizations to share the knowledge that you've learned from this. So the good thing here is we're also going to follow this up. So if you have interest, if you're struggling, or you're trying to figure out how to improve your own internal analytics, stick around till the end of the session, complete the survey. What that'll do is it will register back with us, and then we'll be happy to schedule a meeting to kind of assess the results of that survey, talk to you a little bit about your environment, and then see what your capabilities are today and give you some insight as to what you can do in moving towards a data-driven culture and sharing that across your organization. Now, before we get started, I want to take just a minute and talk about this concept of a data-driven culture. But what is that? Well, ultimately, it's where everyone sees the same information. We hear a lot of people talk about a single source for the truth, but the reality of it is in our environments, there are many sources of truth. There are different truths for different parts of the business unit. So how do you bring those together and put that into a view that the entire organization can see? It gives you the ability to have fact-based conversations in near real time. And so the idea is everybody is on the same page. Everybody is spending their time on core activities. They're doing the jobs that they need to be doing, not spending time compiling reports and massaging data to try to make it look good. It gives you that clear understanding of what data you have and the value that it provides. And ultimately what that delivers when you're able to achieve this is fast decision making. It gives you the ability to base your decisions on real-time activity and avert problems before they happen, as well as use that data to compare and contrast what's happening in your environment and learn from your successes. It absolutely transforms organizations, and we'll have some examples for you later of what that means. Now, before I turn this over to Tomas to talk about the steps in getting to that data-driven culture, I want to introduce Mustali Barma. Mustali's been a great partner to Assure and leading the SaaS organization. He's given us the ability to give you a sneak preview of some exciting news that's coming out of the Micro Focus SaaS environment. So Mustali?
All right, thanks, Mike. Yep, as Mike mentioned, we've been working very closely with Assure to kind of develop a solution on SaaS so that our SaaS customers can take advantage of Assure and the TotalView solution. So as Mike mentioned, Assure has been working with Micro Focus, formerly HPE and formerly HP, for about 10 to 11 years now. And through that time, we have been working with a lot of our on-premise customers that have their own ALM and QC instances. But as of late, we've been working with Assure to see how we could make this technology and Assure's technology available to our SaaS customers. So the exciting news is that we actually do have a solution developed for all our SaaS ALM and QC customers that is now available, in our North America region. It's also available for all customers that have a non-shared database with us, and it's available in all regions throughout the world. But all our North America SaaS customers can now take advantage of this. And, as we roll out this solution, we plan to roll it out worldwide as well, so that each and every one of our SaaS customers will be able to take advantage of it. So if you are an existing SaaS customer, please do feel free to reach out to your customer success manager for more information. If you're not a SaaS customer and considering a move to SaaS, feel free to talk to us about the Assure solution with SaaS and the SaaS solution as a whole. And like I said, we're excited to roll this out along with our partners Assure, and hope that it provides even more value to you as part of your SaaS subscription. All right, go ahead, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Mustali. So I'm very happy to be here. My name is Thomas, and I'm going to walk you through some steps that help you in your journey towards a data-driven culture. So first, we're going to look at assessment. So we're going to assess your current organizational needs to determine the needed metrics. So where do we really start? I usually like to think that we like to start from top down. So we like to identify the decisions that your management and even C-level are making daily or weekly or monthly, and what kind of metrics support those decisions. And in these metrics, we want to define the KPIs that are crucial for you. Usually these are things that hurt, like cost of production incidents or amount of critical defects you have open when you're closing in on a release date. You also want to create goals in these metrics. So you want to clearly create goals that you want to achieve within your organization. You want to diminish the amount of critical bugs this close to a release with 20%, for example. Aim for some quick wins with data-driven results as a first step to get traction. It's easier to discuss with people about expanding this kind of solution when you've already had a couple of quick wins in the organization. Then you want to start assessing your data and environment at the same time. So while you're identifying these metrics and KPIs that are crucial for you, you want to look at your systems, your data management systems. What are your primary data sources? Usually, of course, in this group, we're talking about ALM and probably PPM and so on. But people are using Jira and Microsoft VSTS and all these kind of different systems. So you want to identify those data sources and start planning about a holistic view already when you're talking about rolling this out in your testing area as well. So you want to see about what kind of data is collected in your software development lifecycle and where are the gaps in your data collection and also your data transparency when looking at your goals. Of course, you don't want to show all the data to all the people or all the insights to all your vendors, for example, regarding defects or something like that. But of course, you want to understand what is the level of transparency that you want to give and where are the kind of closed doors. So this is the assessment step in our first section. That is all about interaction. Once you've identified some of the kind of draft KPIs that you want to roll forwards, you want to create the narrative of the goals defined during the assessment and planning phase. You want to create a really good story that will engage people much more in a different way than KPI specification documents that usually talk to analysts and BI specialists rather than the people on the ground. I usually like to draw wireframes on just PowerPoint. I'll probably get some example metrics from the web. I'll Google for a velocity chart and take that screen grab and just start building up a dashboard. And this will help me involve people's thoughts and ideas into the narrative. When I show them something, it's really much easier for them to come back with another idea as they really see what I'm trying to get at. So really avoid discussing through technical documentation. Leave the hard specs as the last step. But also when you talk with analysts and BI people, they can also provide great suggestions also for C-level KPIs that sometimes can be hard to figure out at the first step, because it's easy to say, yeah, I want to look at critical defects and test execution status and so on. But whenever you go to forecasting release readiness or looking at your delivery health in a wider scale, that's when you really start to need some insight from the people in your organization who really know it. Also, you want to publicize the value of tracking metrics. Many times I've seen some resistance, especially in these days in the agile world, where a lot of the agile teams are really governing themselves quite a lot, and they don't like the idea of a big brother watching over them. So you can avoid that change resistance by being really open and transparent with your goals and the values when you're getting those first couple of quick wins, you want to publicize that and make it something that everybody can understand and everybody can relate to. Then define and plan. You want to clarify definitions of success and failure. So what does good really look like in the metrics? If you look at a metric, how do you know when it should hurt or when you should be happy about it? You really want to identify those thresholds to make people understand when they are looking at something good and when they should be alarmed. Also, of course, you want to define how data is collected. First, you want to rather collect more than less, because you might find insights later. After a couple of years, you've been collecting something that you didn't really know what to do with it at first. But gigabytes are pretty cheap these days, and the data is not that large in these systems. So you really want to rather collect more than less and look at what kind of insights can I get later once my reporting platform is up and running. Also, what frequency is data needed to make actionable decisions? For example, you might want to have your progress metrics updated every day, whereas your end of release metrics, it's fine if you update it only when the release is coming to an end. So you want to think about the frequency needed to make actionable decisions at each level. And at this point, it's good to look back a little bit. We've already done some draft KPIs, and we planned some KPIs in the kind of high-level narratives. So I want to tie everything back to your business decisions, also, of course, from the narratives, but also from the definitions, the specifications that you're doing at this point. You can see if you're still on track for answering the questions you had in the beginning, and are you able to track the metrics that direct you to the goals that you had in mind in the very beginning. Again, documenting everything in an understandable way is crucial. So you want to use language and narratives that resonate with the audience rather than having some complex formulas. But you kind of want to include the complex formulas for the propeller heads in any case, because when you go forwards and you want to innovate, those people who really know their formulas and their math, they can give you some very valuable insights if they know how you're calculating your metrics at this point. So also in our products, we are very open. We have these metrics catalogs that explain you exactly how everything is calculated up down to the formula level. Excellent. So here you go, Mike. You want to say a few words about the customer case?
Yeah, thanks so much, Thomas. So the way we're going to do this today, just so you don't have to hear one of us talking the whole time, is we're kind of going to bounce back and forth a little bit. After each step that Thomas talks through, I'm going to share an example for you, just so you understand how this fits in the real world. And this is an example of a very large telephone operator, telco carrier that operates all over the world. Very, very large company, tremendous amount of data. And when we first started talking to them, they were really struggling with getting a handle on kind of what was going on in their dev and QA environment. They were having project delays, failures, because the environment was so scattered. Every region had their own method. They didn't have any standard templates. They had no common reporting in place. Yeah, sounds like most organizations in reality. This just was a very large version of that. But they had recognized that they needed to get a common global standard in place. And to be able to really track and have an accurate representation of what was happening in their IT projects, they wanted to get that data structure in place so that they could start aligning and standardizing it. So ultimately, they did this. They took this first step and they started building a plan. And that plan was really about how do we define what are the reporting requirements we have, what are the data inputs that we have, and how do we put those together? So ultimately, we'll talk more about what we did and how we worked with them, and then what the benefits were as we go through the steps. So, I think that's really an interesting point maybe to pause and take a quick poll. Many of you are on the phone here, and you guys are all doing some form of reporting. We're interested to understand, what areas are you using? What are you reporting on? So we've got a few here. If you would just quickly go through, you can select as many as you want. Pick release readiness, requirements coverage, test execution, defect resolution, defects by severity. Just check which ones you're currently tracking and you are actively reporting on. And we'll give just a minute for you guys to fill that out. You know, there's obviously a lot of other ones out here, but we could only put 5 on the list. So we picked the top 5 and the things that we thought were most common. And I will give just another 15 seconds or so. Looks like we're getting quite a few responses and some very consistent answers here, it looks like. So
yeah, this is very interesting.
Right.
Really,
yeah, I think we're slowing down. Let's go ahead and close that down and then show the results. Yeah, look at that. Test execution, everybody's covering. But interestingly, the defect resolution severity was pretty common. Very few people really tracking release readiness, which, you know, in many ways is one of the most important things you have. So given that that is somewhat of a combination of other areas, it makes a lot of sense. Thomas, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is consistent in what we're seeing, and we really want to increase the awareness and activity around release readiness reporting. And I'd like to say that with our tool, Assure TotalView, we can definitely show some of the benefits in this area.
Great, thanks. We'll give it back to you, Thomas.
Thank you. All right, so let's go forward to step 2. Transform your environment to support cross-project and release-wide metrics. So of course you want to create a taxonomy that is standardized, and creating good analytics models isn't really just getting the data, building the model. It's prepping and categorizing the data for analysis. And you don't want to build the whole church in a day. You want to first look at some immediate concerns like status and severity, the status of the test execution and defect resolution and defect severities. And these are the things that we usually start from with any customer. We also want to push the release and the system/application under test as one of the first ones to look at. And after that, we're going to be looking at defect categories, test levels. At what test level are we catching those defects? And in which environments are we actually working on? So these are good for the second phase. And then if we have time and opportunity, then we go forwards to root cause, risk, priority, and these kind of things. So this is based on our experiences on the field. Also, you want to train your teams. Everybody needs to speak the same global language in the organization in these, especially statuses and severities, and when is a release ready, and so on. And make sure that everyone can interpret the KPIs. They know what they are used for and how they are constructed. I also want to highlight on competitive advantages. How does this make our company better when using this to excite and motivate personnel? While creating a standard taxonomy, you also want to provide flexibility to support different ways of working, especially in these agile days and going to DevOps world in enterprises as well. We want to allow some custom configurations for projects that are very different by nature. If you have testing in hardware side, where people are testing voltages and stuff like that, and then in software side, they're completely different ballgames. Also, there's a possibility sometimes to establish a mapping layer. You don't want to be standardizing every little thing out there. You can also, for example, in defect severities, if somebody's using 1 to 5, they can be mapped to high, medium, low within the reporting layer. So you don't always have to go to the teams themselves and say, hey, you've been doing this for so and so long, now everything needs to change. You can also utilize these kind of functionality. Of course, there's going to be concerns, and there are fears that we've seen when people are shifting to data-driven culture. First of all, they fear that they will be scrutinized and potentially punished because everything is being measured more publicly. Who has the donkey hat in the corner kind of thing. And nobody wants to be evaluated against some mysterious criteria that they don't really even understand how it's done. And every moment when something goes bad, it's more a possibility to learn. And the second one that we've seen is the concern of becoming more numbers focused will cause it to feel like a less personal work environment. Again, we go back to the narratives and stories. Tangibility is the key in analytics. People need to know what it takes for the team to win. What does good look like, and really achieve that good? So leadership definitely must be ready to address these concerns. So staying standardized is a beast of its own. So we've done some standardization projects in the past in ALM environments, only to look at the same companies after a couple of years. They've done a couple of mergers with some other companies and imported or migrated 100 projects from some company that they merged with, and they didn't bother to standardize those 100 projects, and things start falling apart. So you really need to foster that data-driven culture and define clear policies in data collection. And the feedback channel is important as well. So end user communities need to be able to tell you if they want something changed, and so you can address those changing business needs quickly in an agile way. Data ownership is something that supports all of these things. If you have clear data ownership, like a steering group for enterprise level data, if somebody says, oh, we want to change the defect workflow and defect statuses, this should not be done in a kind of a whim of a moment. It should be done after a clear review by a steering group with representation from all needed business units and organizations, and only then it should be changed. Also, in project level, it's important to establish some roles of data ownership. So when using the data consistently, you'll be priming your employees to always have it ready. So it's not a surprise for them. They know what is expected. The result for the whole team here is the ability to make confident decisions based on actual data, which is empowering teams at all levels of the company. Back to the customer case. Mike.
Thanks, Thomas. So what I heard there is this is really hard, right? Getting your data standardized is not easy. It takes a lot of work. And it really is why we talk about in step one to start with a top-down approach. Without clear direction from leadership and executive leadership, it's very easy for these projects to get sidetracked. So one of the things that we've seen, and in this case, we really worked closely with the customer to help them standardize. The foundation of Assure is what was called the standardization suite. And this was really the first product that Assure brought to market. Before we started providing analytics and data reporting, we provided the standardization suite. And this is a tool, like Thomas said, that says you don't have to force everyone to do everything exactly the same. You can use a tool like standardization suite to bring those projects together into a common data schema, to translate that data into a common structure. You can also then push out that common template so that people have a consistent view for things going forward. And ultimately what they did here is we worked with a large SI. We don't do this in a vacuum. Typically we work with your partners, your staff, and the people that you work with to come up with that common platform. And then we would build out this common view. And once we start bringing in the dashboards, then you really start seeing the value of it. So it does take some work. It does take some effort. It is essential to have the right executive support. But the benefits are so great that that's usually pretty easy to get. It's getting over the fear and getting over the challenges that people have with that. What are you going to be doing? Why are we changing? Why are we reporting this? And using tools and using services to help you in that process is essential to being successful and ultimately getting to those benefits. Thomas, you want to talk about how we then are able to automate and collect the data?
Excellent. Thank you. I will do that. So automating and managing data collection is key. So some of the benefits of automation. Usually when we sit down with a new customer, new potential customer, we talk about pain points. We talk about things that frustrate them and they want to get rid of, like wasteful duties. Scrum masters, development leads, even CIOs and CTOs sitting in meetings and manually creating reports to explain something that could be understood in a glance of a dashboard. And managers sitting in status meetings and each team coming in with a different way of explaining what are the efficiencies, and what do they mean with this and that, and why has it changed? It's very, very difficult for somebody, for example, to come into a company and then try to interpret these 20 different, like a program manager hearing 20 different project managers. Each one has their own language. It's definitely a chore. So data collection should always be automatic, and managing it should be the work of managing. What I mean is figuring out how to create reports of it and how to develop those reports further and so on. Should be the work of a handful of trained professionals instead of people who are taking them time from actual work, their core business, to dabble with something that is not what they're competent in. Because it just takes down their motivation and takes their focus out of the core business. The automation of data collection can be directly translated into cost savings. This is ROIs that we have ROI calculators at Assure that we are more than happy to show you. You can just fill in your details of your organization. How many projects do you have? How many people do you have? And we'll calculate possible ROIs and you can change anything every step of the way. If you feel like it's unrealistic, yeah, we can change it, and then see what kind of ROI do we get in how many years. So please take the chance to book a session with us after this session, and we'll run you through the ROI calculator with your organization data. Alrighty. So some of the other questions here: integrations or data warehousing. So you can see systems like, for example, TaskTalk that enable you to synchronize data between different source systems where you manage your data. And this is useful for enhancing the flow of activities in the organization. It's kind of difficult to pull information. Then what if you want to have a holistic view? Then which one of your systems will be the master system? And how long will it be your master system? When will it change? And are the synchronizations all in time? And it's really hard to know if the data that you're looking at is current and that nothing's changed there in that whole pipeline. That can get very, very confusing. So you can achieve a smoother DevOps by enabling this fluent communication within the delivery lifecycle. But when you centralize, and these can exist side by side, there's no problem with that. So you can centralize your data by pulling information from multiple systems into a data warehouse. And this is useful for gathering intelligence and cultivating an environment that provides insights, even insights that you didn't even know were possible. And this is better for achieving a holistic view over your delivery lifecycle that can be maintained easily while transforming. Another thought is reporting versus analytics. So we often hear about islands of information or silos or something like that. And this is reporting. So you report against some information in a silo or an island, whereas analytics is intelligence. So you pull information from multiple silos or islands into a centralized system, and when you crunch those numbers together, that's when you get intelligence over information. Now, an automated environment can look like this. So you can automate your data extraction from your, for example, your Micro Focus tools like ALM or PPM and so on, and then merge that data then in your data warehouse with Jira and your Jenkins, and even go to the other side of the wall, so to say, in ServiceNow or Remedy or something like that. And once you do that, you can then calculate metrics and integrate the data together to show stuff like defect removal efficiency, for example, where you can see how many defects did you find before you released as opposed to after you released, after some big initiative you did. So let's say you wanted to transform into DevOps. How do you know that it worked? How do you know that your transformation project worked? And if you don't have this kind of visualized insights that will tell you the story and the narrative of the moment before it and the moment after it. And again, back to the customer case. Mike?
Thanks, Thomas. So we talked about data collection. Right now, when you bring all of those things together, you've got visibility, you've got the ability to compare between teams, you've got the ability to learn from those successes, and like I said before, averting problems early before they happen, and then highlighting the success. For this telco operator, this really changed everything. It gave them that standard view across all their markets, and they could go in and look at any individual product. They knew if the project was ready for release. They knew the status of that project very early. They had defined what those key indicators were, and they were able to do that not just at the time of release, but early in the cycle. And using benchmarking and analytics that gave them the ability to view over time how those projects succeeded, they could see where projects were in jeopardy, but they could also see projects that were performing extremely well. And then go in and learn from those teams what was happening and how they could replicate that across the organization. Almost immediately, and this is not an updated view of where things are today, but they saw a 20% increase in test efficiency. Now, if you just think about that, if you had 20% more time to test, what else could you do? How else could you change your environment? Because they were able to then, they had that resource availability, they could identify where a project was in jeopardy and move resources over because they had excess capacity, and they were able to then improve the quality across multiple projects across many different business units. So ultimately, just that access to information alone gave them the visibility to act early and to really change the environment.
Thank
Thomas?
you.
So now we've got another polling question.
Yes.
So we talked about how do you bring that together? How do you start collecting that information? So I'm very interested to hear, from the group we have on the phone today, how are you collecting data for your reports? Do you have individual team reports that people are picking and, I take care of just my own team? Do you have standardized reports that maybe you're doing manually and you're collecting that information, but you have the same reports across multiple teams? Are you automating that collection, that data collection? So pulling data right out of ALM today that's automatically extracted and put into another system? Or are you collecting data from ALM and other tools? So it's kind of a continuum of growth here, and to see where people are. What we find is most organizations tend to still have the majority of their reports manually. And that's very normal and very common. The automated collection is very helpful if you can pull it directly from ALM. And the nice thing is Micro Focus has provided some capabilities to do that, and it's given some tools to support that. But to be able to take that data and then turn it into actionable intelligence, real analytics like Thomas talked about, you also need to be able to integrate data from other tools. Like we said before, a single source of truth is a great idea, but in reality, there are always going to be multiple sources of the truth. And so to get to the ultimate truth, you have to be able to pull from multiple different data sets. So it looks like we're getting close to full here. Give just about 10 more seconds. Get your last minute votes in.
Yeah, this is interesting. I would think that automated data collection from ALM is mostly used. And I think some of you may have.
Let's go ahead and close the poll real quick, Thomas, and show the results so everybody can see that. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, interesting. Almost half have some form of automated data collection from ALM. So that's great. That's very good. Thomas, you were going to share some insight?
Yeah, I was thinking if some of the if we were worded it a little bit differently, if the results would have been a little bit different, because I would say that a lot of people, I think most ALM users, I've been working with 20, 30 companies that use ALM, and I'd say 85–90% of them pull their information from ALM directly. But they don't really do it so that they just run the report in ALM and that's it. But they actually pull the report from ALM and then they put it into some manual report, or they collate the report from multiple projects or something like that. in a document, and then they present that document. But of course, it could be
pretty impressive. Oh, sorry, I was going to say I've seen some pretty impressive Excel macros, you know, where you do an extract and then put it in there, and then it creates a report. But you know, ultimately, that is still really manual tools.
Yes, that's what I think as well. But yeah, very interesting results, and thanks to everyone for voting. Excellent. So now we go forwards to step 4, visualizing data to provide insights for decision making. So once you're on your way to having a single source of truth for the data of your delivery lifecycle, you can concentrate on enhancing the insights that you get from this data. So this is something where you can start building your roadmap. So before that, you can also verify the benefits of a centralized analytics system. So whenever you get some of these quick wins and you communicate them to management, it's much easier to go forwards and say, yeah, we want to expand this solution to other systems or other organizational areas. So let's say other business units in our company, and even to other systems like Jira or ServiceNow and so on. So you really want to get a couple of quick wins in the beginning, the low-hanging fruit, if you may, and then start creating a roadmap that will get you forward into a complete holistic single source of truth. All right, so innovation is something that we talked about before. So you want to really interact and listen to the users and create this roadmap. So your future target could be, for an example, merge insights from multiple systems to create a holistic view of your DevOps landscape. One of the questions here is governed analytics versus self-service. And see, analytics can be governed on several levels. A governed out-of-the-box solution provides static dashboards that are the same for everyone. And I think for most enterprise companies, this is really useful because people don't have to reinvent the wheel. Of course, there's a situation where some teams want to have these kind of views, and the other one want to have those kind of visualizations, and that's normal. But in the core metrics that the company is collecting on a high level, I think a fully governed out-of-the-box solution provides the most value. In this kind of solution, metrics can only be edited and created by administrators after a thorough review by steering groups and so on. Another level could be a self-service solution that is based on unified metrics calculations, so that you decide how a metric is calculated. If you have defects over test levels and they are aggregated into a visualization, then the calculation behind it is the same for everyone, but teams can then create their own dashboards with the metrics that are relevant for them. And this is actually this topic is one of the questions that we have in our survey. We're very interested to hear what you have to say about it. A free-to-roam reporting platform like the in-memory tools provided in the market can give your teams a lot of possibilities. So this is where one person is just getting starting to create metrics on one of these reporting platforms that are quite prevalent in the market today, but they do not support enterprise KPIs that really enhance your ability to have a holistic view. So I do not see many of the benefits that you get from enterprise analytics achieved with this kind of a free-to-roam reporting platform. So we really want to think about how well governed or how strictly governed your analytics environment should be to get the most benefit out of it and still have people use it, get excited to use it because they feel like they're in control in the level that they want. A couple of words about TotalView. So what sets us apart from other solutions out there? So we're a concept we are proven at scale in large organizations. So we pull information from hundreds of ALM projects and show this information in a central dashboard. And we concentrate, our focus is completely in software development lifecycle as a whole. So we're not just an open reporting platform for financials or resourcing and this and that and the other thing, but we really concentrate on software development lifecycle. And it's an out-of-the-box solution that starts producing value right away. And we support a culture of transparency and flexibility. And our roadmap has many exciting new features. Currently, we're building a release management metrics functionality that's based on artificial intelligence and machine learning. So you would get the information of your past releases, and your metrics and thresholds would learn about what good looks like, and how to show you the releases that are in danger of falling behind, and how to find the releases that the other people can learn from. So there's a lot of possibilities in this AI ML area that we're very excited about. Also, we're working on integrated dashboards. As I said, integrating data from, for example, ServiceNow, Jira, and ALM will give you a really a good start in a single source of truth and the holistic view. So at this point, I'd quickly like to show you the actual tool that we have. So what we have in Azure TotalView Insights for Testing, which is one of our products, is a quick view of what your top KPIs could be in a organizational level or your company level. So you can see your different domains or business lines and your ALM projects here. And as you can see, there are hundreds of ALM projects in our database from which we pull information from. So we could go to see project comparison in a certain business line, for an example. We want to see consumer banking and compare that to global banking. And quickly we can see different areas, let's say in projects on time, for example, where do we see red and how big the red is. And whenever we go deeper, we could see cross-entity comparison, for example, which gives us a possibility to compare these different projects within the same business line. So if I'm in a consumer banking business line and our program manager or a CIO, I can quickly see some of the interesting projects that I have. How many pass requirements do I have? What is my test execution level? What about defects, defects rejected, defect density? There's a lot of information packed into just one screen. So I could even, if I'm interested in, let's say I'm interested in Astro Spiral here, I could just click on that one and drill down even deeper. So whenever I'm drilling down deeper, I can see more detailed information about this particular project and compare it with other projects. And of course, it will give me the possibility to drill down deeper into, for example, in the defects area or any other ALM areas, such as requirements or tests. And in here, I got more information. I can even drill down to actual lists of defects or lists of tests or so on. So this was just a very quick view into what TotalView Insights is all about. And then I'd like to jump into the conclusion, so we still have some time for some questions here. So Mike, take it away.
Yeah, thanks so much, Thomas. I know that was a quick view of the demo. Ultimately, there's hundreds of out-of-the-box KPIs that you see in the system. And as Thomas mentioned, we're actually building now the capability for users to create their own self-service dashboards based on metrics that you define. So you can take that for testing across DevOps and then integrating all the other data. You've got a phenomenal base level of capabilities and then the ability to configure and expand that as you see. Ultimately, what this really comes down to is business intelligence. And I've seen many organizations try to implement business intelligence across their organization, and they can spend years and millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars. And many times there's little to show for it. It takes a tremendous amount of work to get that together and then ultimately to get that across the organization. What's different about Azure is we take those well-defined KPIs that we've seen from the industry, from our customers, and we build them into standardized dashboards. As an out-of-the-box solution that takes the data extraction, standardization, and presentation all in one product, you've got the ability to show quick results. And then from those quick results, you can really extend that out to the organization, as opposed to spending years trying to build something yourself. And ultimately, it's about communication. Communicate, 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 and over-communicate. It's about sharing in the organization the value that you derive from these metrics, from changing the culture. And culture change is hard. But ultimately, if you've got the right level of commitment from the organization, you've got the right messaging, and you've got a tool that supports this, then you can really achieve those benefits of that data-driven culture. So I think I've got one quote here. This is just another example. This is someone who's spoken before, Andrea Vant from Tia Kreff. You know, in this case, the centralized metrics is what helped them change their culture. And she talks about this before and after view of what a data-driven culture means. It's ultimately about getting those projects done, and they more than doubled their performance rate from 35 to 70%. Yeah, this is a huge change in an organization, and it can be done with the capabilities that you get out of the box. So with that, we've got a lot of questions in the Q&A here that I see. If you, again, please stick around, take the survey. There is a landing page if you want to go check out more information, but if you would complete the survey at the end, and we would be happy to schedule time to do a quick assessment and share with you the results from what we found. So Sylvia, do you want to queue up some of the questions?
Oh, sure. Yeah, as Michael mentioned, we have several questions here. We're going to pick some of those. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to answer all of them, but we're going to answer afterwards if you don't answer right here, right now. Okay, so the first question is, what can be done for ALM on-premise customers regarding Azure? Any offerings on that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I know we talked about SaaS at the beginning. But SaaS is the new offering. You know, in the past, customers who were using Micro Focus SaaS couldn't get access to their database because it was a shared data infrastructure. So that's the new offering. On-premise is what we've always done. And so customers who have ALM installed on-premise, we've always been able to set up TotalView for those environments and give you access to the data that you have already on your premise. We're really excited now that we can extend that to SaaS customers.
Right, and there is another question here. Does Azure TotalView support also other tools like Jira?
It does, yeah. So out of the box support, we have support for ALM and Jira. We have built support for more than 20 other databases, and we work with folks like Turnkey and OpsHub who provide those integration points to be able to connect across other tools. The KPIs that you get out of the box are going to be based on ALM and Jira, but we can extend that, and it's very easy for you to build those dashboards and get access to that.
Right, and then what's the difference TotalView and reporting platforms like Tableau or even Splunk and other solutions in the market?
So, what I could take this one. So we're definitely concentrating on software development lifecycle. So these reporting platforms and these kind of
you're getting break it out, Thomas.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, Splunk, I think it's more about unstructured data and pulling everything in, and we're like more like real-time monitoring and stuff like this. And what we do is we really enhance the insights on the kind of visualization level. So we pull information into a centralized database, yes, and we could really do that with any kind of tool. And then we have the visualization layer in which we do most of our work. So we really create metrics and, as I said, artificial intelligence, machine learning to provide you even more insights that you didn't even realize you were capable of it. So even if you use Splunk or something like that, Tableau, do still contact us and see what kind of extra value we could offer on top of that.
Yeah, I have a comment here. DevOps future for Micro Focus is Octane, not ALM. What's your view here? So this one I can take it because this is more like your product and direction, and then I'm the product marketing for these products. So guys, the question here relates to DevOps we are using ALM Octane. That's a tool that is being defined as a tool for DevOps environment in ALM, in the Agile Enterprise, but we are still invest heavily on the ALM and Quality Center products. So when you say DevOps future for Micro Focus is Octane, not ALM. So this statement is basically a little bit different. I would say ALM Octane is the future, is the solution, is the current solution for DevOps and Enterprise Agile. And then ALM and Quality Center is still very relevant to manage the traditional development. So synchronizing those both solutions is basically what we are working with our customers, because a lot of customers, they are not moving fully to Agile platform, so they can synchronize the environment. And just to make clear, we are investing heavily still in ALM and Quality Center, and we don't have any plans to shut down these tools in the any near future, long future term. Okay, so this is here for to stay, and we have a very large install base. We are still supporting ALM and Quality Center for sure. The goal is.
Thank you, Sylvia. And we at Assure will also support ALM Octane for those Agile customers as the usage of that grows and people want that. It's the same concept of bringing that data in and building the dashboard. So we will absolutely support that environment.
Okay, we are reaching out the top of the hour now. So I want to thank you everyone for attending this webinar. You can go and see more information in the Azure.net web link that you guys are seeing here. And next slide, I would like to share with you guys upcoming webinars, Vivid webinars. We have a couple of webinars coming along in September 20. It's about operations briefs, more operation side. But October 3rd, we have a very good webinar talking about software testers and with development. This is done by the SIG. So we have some customers also present. And October 3rd, we have also the Spotlight series with many other customers talking. And October 9, we have one focus on DevOps and performance testing as well. So be aware of that. Get the links here and register for the webinars that you are interested in. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for the presenters, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Thank you.